So I saw Tron Ares, and I wanted to talk about it because I have mentioned on this channel a couple of times before that I actually very much like Tron Legacy. I've seen that movie a bunch of times, really enjoy it. We actually did a watch along for it a couple of weeks ago. If you're interested to hear my full thoughts, check that one out. I'll link it in the description. And I also quite like the original Tron. I've seen it twice or maybe even three times. It's a fun little movie, even though it's dated by today's standards. But then again, Tron Legacy is dated by today's standards. And I was very excited for Tron Ares because the trailers look cool. It was interesting to see, the grid things coming into the real world. Like, how would that work? Looked interesting. And also the cast looked really cool. That it was like, okay, I recognize a lot of names. I would like to see how this works in the Tron setting. The only thing you could maybe say something against is Jared Leto, but I do think Jared Leto has had good performances in his career. Most recently, for me at least, was Blade Runner 2049. I thought he was pretty menacing as Neander Wallace. So I was thinking, maybe if he plays a similar character. Well, he doesn't, and he plays Ares, and unfortunately Ares was not a particularly good performance, and unfortunately Tron Ares was not the movie that I hoped it would be. The closest that I can describe it is it reminds me of The Rise of Skywalker a bit. When I first saw The Rise of Skywalker, I liked it a lot more than I do now. I don't like The Rise of Skywalker anymore at all. I have a lot of issues, and one of the biggest issues that I have with The Rise of Skywalker is that while it acknowledges the fact that The Last Jedi exists here and there, it tries to retcon The Last Jedi in a lot of ways. And I feel Tron Ares does the same to Tron Legacy. And I'll get more into depth about that later in the video. Like towards the end, I'm going to do a specific spoiler section for the people who are okay with spoilers. Until then, I'm going to be as vague as I can to give you an indication if you should see this or not. Because, let's be fair, some people might not be interested in seeing this after seeing all the bad reviews. I've been seeing bad reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and on Letterboxd. I still went. I'm still okay with going. It wasn't the worst experience, but it could have been so much better. It should have been so much better, based on everything that this movie, in my opinion, had going for it. But before I get into the issues of this movie, let me just say what I did like about this. And that, first of all, is that I went to IMAX, IMAX 3D. And in terms of the visual and audio experience, this was awesome. And if you have the opportunity to go see it in IMAX, do so, because they really made a lot of effort into making it look and sound as good as it does. Because visually, the visual effects, CGI, everything looks great. About as good as Tron Legacy, just minus the awkward Clue Jeff Bridges face that we see. So you don't have a bad CGI face. It's just the visuals are awesome throughout. So that was great. Audio-wise as well, the sound design is really good. And the score by Nine Inch Nails is absolutely perfect as far as I can ask for. Because I adore the score by Daft Punk for Tron Legacy. I think a lot of people really like that score. It's one of the best things about that movie. And Nine Inch Nails very much understood the assignment. Make something similar to that for this movie. They did that. It was awesome. This is a score that I'm probably going to listen back to on a regular basis because I very much like to just listen to scores at times. This is one that I'm going to go back to, at least score-wise. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to watching it on my small TV after having seen it in IMAX, because, of course, on a small TV, it's probably not worth it. So if you have an inkling of seeing this movie, go see it in IMAX, because it's probably the best experience that you're going to have with this movie. Otherwise, I don't think it's really particularly worth it. I don't know, though. I'm curious to rewatch it on my TV, but I'm also kind of scared to rewatch it on my TV because outside of the visuals and the sound, I don't know what this movie has going for it. It's very lacking in terms of a cast, in terms of direction, in terms of writing. I think the only person that I actually did like was Jodie Turner-Smith. And of course, we Star Wars fans adored her as Mother Anastasia in The Acolyte, right? Please let me know all the hate that you have for her. I actually have no issue with her as Mother Anastasia. I thought she was fine. But I thought she was pretty decent in this movie. She was like the only person that I didn't really bother um, seeing. But yeah, in terms of everyone else in this movie, I feel a lot of people are just miscast, are not supposed to be in the role that they're in, and they could be in a different role. If you swap Evan Peters' character with Jared Leto, I think that would work way better because Evan Peters, I think, is a better actor to be as a protagonist, as a fun protagonist for us as an audience to watch it through. I don't think Jared Leto is that kind of guy. And Jared Leto should have been, the evil corporate guy that I really liked in Blade Runner, who can be menacing, who can, be that evil corporate guy. And he wasn't. Because I'm sorry, Evan Peters, as much as I like you as an actor and I like you as Quicksilver and whatnot, I did not care for you as the evil corporate guy in this. It was kind of just a very bland archetype that we've seen 10 million times in other movies before, and I'm sorry, Evan Peters, you did not pull it off. But what was also very disappointing is that Jared Leto is not the only protagonist of this movie. There are two protagonists. There are two lead characters, essentially. Jared Leto's Ares is one of them. The other one is Greta Lee, who plays a character that I already forgot the name about. And she is a character that I already forgot anything about because she is so bland in this movie that I honestly am wondering what people saw in her. I know that she's in Past Lives, a movie that I haven't seen, I don't really have any interest in. I can only take your word that she's probably very good in that movie, but I can tell you that however good she is in Past Life, that is how forgettable she is in this movie. People have said that she has phoned in a performance. She's terrible. She is so bland and boring, and there's nothing to her, and she is one of the protagonists. And you kind of need a more charming protagonist. Like, if you look at the first two Tron movies, the first Tron movie, you have Jeff Bridges. He's fun in that first movie. In the second one, Legacy, you have Garrett Hedlund. He is fun. He is good as Sam Flynn. Those two can carry that movie. I'm sorry, Greta Lee and Jared Leto can't carry this movie. They should have been in different roles and have someone else be in the protagonist role. I don't know who. Just Evan Peters could have worked, I think, probably. But oh my god, it just didn't work. It really didn't work, and that is one of the big reasons that this movie kind of just becomes boring, despite the audio-visual spectacle that you're watching and listening to. The characters are just so boring and uninteresting, and the writing doesn't help them either. So it's not entirely the actors themselves. Also, the writing and directing is not really there. I think the director of this movie is just not a very good director. He directed Pirates of the Caribbean 5, which I didn't care for, really. He also directed Maleficent 2, which I haven't seen, but I haven't heard a lot of good things about. And I think the general consensus is, out of the movies that he's directed, he hasn't really directed a good one. So I'm sorry, you just can't direct a good movie. I wish you did. I wish this movie was so much better than it did. I really wanted to love it, but no, the directing wasn't there. And again, I go back to Legacy, was directed by Joseph Kosinski, and Joseph Kosinski, I do think, is a competent director who can make at least a visually interesting movie that also has characters that just have fun throughout, that are fun to follow. And that's what I was really lacking. Characters that I have fun with to follow in an interesting world, because the world of Tron is very interesting to me. It's just the characters weren't really there. Also, speaking of Jeff Bridges, he's in this movie for like 2 minutes at most. He is like third credited for the movie because, of course, he is in the previous one. So it's like, oh yeah, he's in this again. Yeah, for all of 2 minutes, and then he disappears again. And it's like, well, why did we even get him back? Like, you didn't even need to get him back, because there's an entire subplot going on where Ares goes to meet him, and nothing really happens with it. Where I'm just like, okay, I feel there would have been different ways to include him in the movie to make him more prominent in any way, shape, or form, or not include him at all. That would have been fine. But no, they had to shoehorn in some kind of cameo that felt very odd. I'm like, okay, I suppose. Then another actor who I was excited to see and got like 5 seconds of screen time is Cal Kestis. Cameron Monaghan is a good actor. I really like him as Cal Kestis in the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor games. and I was like, oh, I'm actually excited to see him. Yeah, 5 seconds. That's it. Like, why do you not utilize actors who are good, who you can use, who can make a better movie? I just don't understand it. Like, why is everyone just miscast or not in this movie to the proper degree that they should be in? And the people who are in the movie to an extensive degree, you know, in terms of Greta Lee and Jared Leto as the main characters, they're just bland as fuck, and I can't give a shit about their characters. So, in the end, you're just like, what am I watching? I'm watching something that audio-visual wise is cool. Yeah, I suppose that's about it. And I just need to rant about some specifics of this movie for a moment. So this is the spoiler section. If you don't want to catch the spoilers, skip ahead to like this point in the video. You have been warned. I'm going to go into a little specific thing that relates to Tron Legacy, because in Tron Legacy, and of course the first Tron, the bad guy who wants to take over MCOM is Ed Dillinger. And then in Tron Legacy, that is his son, played by Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy, by the way, also has like 5 seconds of screen time in Tron Legacy, but the truth is, it's never really about him. It's just to indicate that the Dillingers are still after MCOM, but that's not really important because you go into the grid. In this movie, of course, this takes place not as much on the grid as the first two movies. It takes more place in the real world, and they really want to make a plot line out of the Dillingers in the real world. And all of a sudden, the Dillingers are replaced by Gillian Anderson and Evan Peters. They're the characters who are now the Dillingers, the evil corporation trying to take over for MCOM. But then Gillian Anderson just gets killed after not having to do much throughout the entire movie. And I'm like, you could have just not have her in this movie. And then you would only have Evan Peters' character. Like, for some reason, they made him the grandson of Ed Dillinger. I'm like, what if you just change him to Cillian Murphy? Or even if Cillian Murphy wasn't available, recast him, put Jared Leto in that role. I think that would have worked way better. And then it would just be the son of Ed Dillinger, who is still at it, who's still trying to get the company against, you know, whoever the main character is. And of course, that's Greta Lee, and that's not interesting. But I think at least that would have made, you know, the evil corporate guy more interesting than it was than Evan Peters. I already expressed my issues with that. Because, yeah, his mom just dies, and then at the end, he gets sucked into the grid, and then they set up the sequel where he is supposedly in the grid, and he's going to be, like, the big baddie of the next movie. I'm sorry, I'm not interested if that's Evan Peters' character as we have it introduced in this movie. Could have been a lot more interesting if you got Cillian Murphy back. He's still doing things. You could have gotten him, or just recast him into another actor that's just not Evan Peters. I would have been way more interested to see that. But yeah, no, I don't understand why they kind of just retconned that part of Tron Legacy. Tron Legacy had like interesting ideas, interesting things set up, and they just kind of got rid of that. But then we still see pictures of Sam Flynn and Cora like, oh, why do we have those pictures? So they got out, so why don't we incorporate that somehow? Why don't we just use characters previously established in this franchise in this movie? Why do we have to go with a completely new set of characters? I like recasting is a thing, you know, and heck, if you really want to, you can just CGI the face like you did in the previous movie. Of course, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but it's something you could do to make it a little bit more interesting, because now the biggest issue, what you are facing with this movie, is that you have a lot of people who are in roles that they shouldn't be in. The writing is not there to help them. The directing is not really there to help them. And overall, the movie is just, like, look, I will give the movie a 5 out of 10, which is probably more generous than I should. I liked it overall enough to not walk out of the theater. As I said, from an audio-visual perspective, this was a cool experience to see it in IMAX. I am not very much looking forward to rewatching this on my TV. I have the feeling that rewatching it on my TV is not going to be as good. And it's just going to end up as some kind of background noise, like I have it on while I'm cleaning the apartment or something, and not much else. So, yeah, that's about all I can say about Tron Ares. I'm curious, are you interested in this movie at all? Have you seen it? And if you have, what are your thoughts on it? Please Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like my review, please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to my channel, where of course I talk about Star Wars most of the time, but hey, on occasion I will go out of my way to talk about Tron or something else sci-fi related, because hey, I'm just interested in that. And until my next video, may the Force be with you.